It's all coming back. It's all coming back to me now or you now, whatever. I know. I just got the whole. I love that song. It's a powerful song. But we made it. Okay. I'm not the most wealthy man in the world, but I have to go and buy one of those cups because I just need a Packer cup. I don't have a Packer cup. I gotta get one.
I mean, I got all kinds of different Packer cups, dude, and it's just whoa, there you go. Super Bowl.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, maybe this Aaron Rodgers Jedi shirt is.
I like it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Hey, but we made it through the long, dark abyss that's called the off season. We made it. It's week 1, and the Green Bay Packers are going to go beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota, and it's going to be fantastic. But before we talk about that, we know the 53-man roster finalized last few weeks.
That's right.
I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers is there. They have a talented defense, but what position group are you most excited about this year? Start there. Excitement.
I have a hard time picking, and for me, it's about that defense. Just stud city.
Goosebumps.
At defensive back. The linebacker room is arguably the best that we've seen. No offense, AJ Hawk.
Nick Barnett. Yeah.
And then the D line, dude. I mean, you got Kingsley Gambare. I think he played really well.
Oh yeah,
preseason.
His slide.
The main dude.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
His slide. Oh my gosh, it's like what that was, but it was unreal.
I mean, where are they going to try to block? If they're going to double team, we've got so much beef up the middle and on the outside. I mean, it's to the point that when you and I were going through it, we almost forgot about Jaron Reed just because it was like, oh, I mean, there's just so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's career high in sacks is 10.5. Like that is not. Only Aaron Donald can do that. Like double-digit sacks for an interior defensive lineman because there's so much congestion. You have to find a way through the offensive line. So that's a big-time player, right there. I mean, it's impossible to not be excited about the defense. It's definitely the most talented overall defense on paper we've had in at least a decade. Maybe I don't know. I mean, it's the Super Bowl defense was fantastic, but we almost never got to see that because they, it took them until the last week of the season to get into the playoffs. So this defense, I think, I know Clay Matthews and Chuck Woodson and Nick Collins and A to the J Hawk and Fremont and all those guys. I mean, they had BJ Raji, like they had a squad. Don't get me wrong, but I just this team just maybe it's because we haven't seen it in such a long time. Maybe that's kind of why we feel so excited.
Yeah,
that's got to be it. But no, you're right. For me, excitement, special teams. No, we will go. I am honestly, maybe excitement isn't the right word here, but the receivers. I am excited to see. I think Aaron is fired up and he wants to get them the ball. That's what I think. It's not like he's afraid to throw. I think. Look, he's going to rely on Allen and Randall and Sammy because, Sammy and Randall have had they've had a couple weeks where they've just had great practices ever since the New Orleans Saints joined practices. They've been fantastic, and Allen's going to be the number one guy. But I can't wait to see Romeo Doubs get the ball and Christian Watson and, Toure from time to Amari Rodgers had a very nice preseason. And I thought about this today, like, what a great opportunity in Minnesota, week 1, 2. Like it's a tough environment. Like the Minnesota fans, I don't like them, but they bring it. It's a loud place. It's a difficult place to play. We're going to have to play Tampa on the road this year. We're going to have to go play Buffalo, Philadelphia on a Sunday night, I think. We're going to play some playoff teams in some tough environments. Great for them. It's going to be great exposure for them, and they're going to get some great experience. And Aaron's going to throw them the ball. And, they might not be wide open. He's going to expect them to come down with the ball because he just wants them to have that experience. He wants them to have that success early on too, just so they can all grow together. because it's going to be tough sledding, because Devontae's gone, MVS is gone. Earlier on in the season, it's going to be tough, but I think once we hit December, that this experience for them is going to be big time. So I guess maybe not excited. Like, I'm just intrigued. Intrigued is the word to use. I'm intrigued about how those young guys are going to do. And there's no better player to do it with than Aaron. Like, Aaron's going to demand a lot for them, but he loves them. He sat down at lunch with Romeo Dobbs, and, he had that player meeting. He had that players only meeting with, the receivers, and maybe there were a couple coaches, I guess, but he loves them and just wants them to be successful. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity come week 1. Yeah. Moving on. The jitters, not the excited jitters, the scared jitters. Which position group are you?
Like, it's the kick and punt coverage. I know they were trying guys out. It's just during the preseason, I'm just getting PTSD of like those bad moments. And anyway, for me, what I want to say positively about special teams, Crosby's back, and I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Amari Rodgers in terms of a confidence in getting the ball. And
yes.
Like wanting the ball, not letting it just bounce by or go out or fair catch. I mean, he was actively trying to, I want to run the ball. But I'm not trying to be pessimistic on our coverage.
Yeah.
But
the stat sheet against Kansas City was ugly.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to go off of entering Minnesota. I will say, I love Bisaccia, 40-year veteran. They love him because he's he brings an edge, and that experience you don't see very often. He's been coaching in the league for 20 years, 25 years or something like that. They actually coached with defensive coordinator Joe Barry on John Gruden's staff in Tampa when they won the Super Bowl. So they have that experience together. I love Pat O'Donnell too. I think Pat O'Donnell's a fantastic addition. I did not see one bad punt from him all preseason. Like it was fantastic. So I'm fired up for that cold weather punter. For me, position group that gives me the jitters, I'm going to say edge rush. And here's why. So Rashawn Gary is defensive player of the year candidate. I love him. I think he's a stud. He's been increasing his numbers every single season he's been there. Sacks, total tackles, pressures, QB hurries, whatever. It's increased. It's all increased. Preston Smith, after a down 2020, had a nice season, 9 sacks. Him and Gary both had 9+ sacks. Anagbare, I am fired up for. I think he is a solid SEC pass rusher. Those SEC pass rushers are different too. Like I think he's a stud. I think he led the country in quarterback pressures or hits last year. I want to say it was one of those two. He was always around the quarterback. He is a rookie, and Jonathan Garvin and Tipa Nalia behind him have been in the league for a few years and do not have the most experience on the field, and they haven't found success. Obviously, they've been backups, so it's hard to kind of get around Preston and Zadarius, who was there, and Rashawn. I would have preferred the team had gone out and gotten a veteran pass rusher like a Carlos Dunlap or a Justin Houston, just because of the experience in case someone goes down. We saw last year when Zadarius went down, Preston and Rashawn were fantastic. They held down the fort. Even Whitney Merciless, I wish he was still with us, but he brought some edge for a few games. But that was a bummer. But I guess I just worry about. It's not like Preston's a great pass rusher. It's not like he's TJ Watt though, and Rashawn Gary hasn't had a double-digit sack season, yet. Like I guess. Maybe that's a bad excuse, but what worries me is if one of those guys go down, we have to rely on some inexperience and some rookies. So it's more so the depth. That's what I mean. I think they're going to be very solid starters. What just scares me is if one of them goes down, because injuries happen and they happen in Green Bay sometimes at the worst possible times. What worries me is what if one of those guys goes down? Like can Anagbare step up? Can Jonathan Garvin step up? So that's a big if, like if something happens. But for now, I think we have a solid unit on defense all over the place. I think we're good.
I like it.
Excuse me. Yeah, we're solid. All right, but let's move to the game. I don't like the Vikings, and I'll be honest. I was watching Good Morning Football this morning, and they were picking their division winners, their playoff teams, division winners, all that stuff. And three of them, Jamie Erdahl, Kyle Brandt, and Jason McCourty, all picked Minnesota. Peter Schrager was the only one that picked the Packers. So I'm just going to write, remember in The Office when Ryan makes notes of people who have wronged him? So when he's back on top, they'll be sorry. Right. Jamie Erdahl, Kyle Brandt, Jason McCourty. All right. No, those are good people. But everyone is doubting the Packers. And, the Vikings, they want to go in for the kill. I think they want to come in here to throw in the Packers and kind of, they have a new hotshot head coach in O'Connell, kind of like a McVay, Shanahan, LaFleur type of younger offensive-minded coach. They have some talent, but this is still Aaron Rodgers' division.
But how old is he anyway? I'm not the age matters, but like he did 2 seasons offensive coordinator of the Rams. Granted, they did win the Super Bowl. I'm not knocking that.
Yeah.
Head coach is a different animal.
He was Kirk Cousins' quarterback coach in Washington for, I believe, a season, 2018, 2017. So he's part of that McVay tree. And look, we've seen over the last few years those kinds of coaches who've been together, the Shanahans, the LaFleurs, the McVays, the Zach Taylors, had a lot of success. Offensively, they bring in fresh new ideas. Again, I'm not a football – I love football, but I don't have the brain, like, certain plays, tendencies. I'm not that football smart. But this guy, from what I've heard, has brought in a lot of new ideas and is going to be able to find success with Kirk because I think, were somewhat successful offensively in Washington during that 1 year where he was his offensive coordinator. But you have Dalvin Cook.
Like that, though.
I think Mike Zimmer, when he was the defensive coach for Minnesota those 8 years, they were a threat, but only to a certain extent. I mean, the defense was usually good, but they just, they were always like 9-7 or 8. You know what I'm saying? Like they were just mediocre kind of. They made the playoffs once, twice. They won the division once. I think they're better this year. They have a talented offense. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson. I think Thielen is still a solid number 2. I think Kirk Cousins is above average and better than people think. Their defense, that's going to be the true matchup on Sunday, I think, because Aaron Rodgers has said Harrison Smith is one of the toughest defenders he's ever played against because he's just so smart with his eyes and he doesn't, very smart player. Patrick Peterson's a future Hall of Fame cornerback. But he had statistically the worst year of his career last year. They lose Anthony Barr, who was a 4-time, 5-time Pro Bowler, middle linebacker for them.
Right.
They get Zadarius. From us, who's coming off a major, back surgery. Daniil Hunter, who was their other Pro Bowl edge rusher. What was his injury? Neck surgery or something he had last year. In the last 2 years, he hasn't played a full season. So if they're healthy, they could be a solid duo. It's an interesting situation because it's Aaron Rodgers taking the ball. Aaron Rodgers is the killer clown. He's it. Is that the name of the clown? I can't remember. Point is, that's what he is to those guys. Well, in the NFC North, the Vikings have actually been his toughest opponent. But this is going to be a close game. It's going to be a close game. The Vikings have a lot of reason for optimism. But I think people are forgetting that despite the fact there's no Devontae Adams, no MVS, this Packers team might be more well-rounded. Just because it doesn't have the big name at receiver doesn't mean that they don't have the big game, if you will.
Yeah, and look at the offensive line, man. The offensive line is super strong. Our depth is solid. And you got 2 just amazing running backs. So the same way that we've lost to the Vikings in the past is basically play action because Dalvin Cook has been able to just torch us, right? and then that's how they've scored. So I think a lot of people forget the running game can be super strong. The defense is very strong, and these receivers will have the ability to get open. Some of those very frustrating games in years past.
Gosh.
I didn't understand. It was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I just didn't get it. But I feel like a lot of that stems from an inability to run the football.
We do have Quay Walker, Devondre Campbell in the middle of our defense. That should kind of help soften the, maybe slow down Dalvin Cook a little bit, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, they'll at least cover him. I mean, he's not getting an easy screen.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, I get it. It's a new-minded head coach. It's potentially a new offense for the Vikings, but I'm just reading down the depth chart. Mm-hmm. You got Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, KJ Osborne, and Irv Smith. We've seen
Rieger
before.
Mm-hmm.
We have a different way of doing it, but at the same time, I mean, we've still, I take Jair over Jefferson. So.
Mm-hmm. We have the horses. We have the guy. I mean, I was thinking about, when we play Tampa in a couple weeks too, they have Mike Evans, Godwin, Julio. If there's a team out there that can stop it, it's us. We have the three guys, Stokes, Jair, and Rasul. Plus our safeties are solid too. And I will say that remember the shootout game last year with Minnesota where they won on a walk-off field goal. Right. Kind of the go-ahead, the touchdown they had where, Kirk found Jefferson, who was one-on-one with Stokes. It was play action. It was it wasn't a jump ball, but Kirk threw it before Jefferson made his move to break away from Stokes. If Stokes stays with him, Kirk gets either lit up, gets sacked, or it's a pick. It was sort of a move where Jefferson obviously receivers know where they're going, cornerbacks don't know where the receiver's going. But it was that close,
right.
That kind of game, where we could have pulled that one out. But these games in Minnesota, for some reason, I mean, they're always a dangerous team whenever we play them. And in Minnesota, I think since they opened up the US Bank Stadium in 2016, I want to say, I think we've won there maybe twice since it opened up. So it's not the easiest place for us. But again, I think they're going to be nervous, and I think we have some rookie receivers. Everyone's doubting us. All the Minnesota Vikings fans are going to be fired up. Like it's like the Utah Jazz, in the 97, 98 finals, whatever, when they were saying, okay, it's time. We're going to play them again. We're finally going to vanquish them. We're going to be the guys. It's still Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur, that great running attack. The defense is sick. The special teams will continue to improve. And hey, this game, maybe we lose. But worst case scenario, our younger players get a lot of experience. Mm-hmm. Younger receivers, Devontae Wyatt, Quay Walker. That's the worst case scenario. We also have, outside of playing the Bills, the Bucks at Minnesota, we have a relatively softer schedule. We're all excited, and we just have to be careful week one. Okay, we lose. Oh, shoot, the Vikings are going to take this thing. No, it's not. It's not the case at all, because
it's more important than it was last year when we got blown out by the Saints. The saving grace of that game it wasn't a divisional game, so it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. It always matters. And you got fresh blood. But again, looking at the Vikings, they took defensive players for every round in the draft except one. They got a running back. Mm-hmm. Again, you always play the people in your division really hard. And it doesn't matter if they're good or not. They always know how to play you just as well. So
except for the Bears.
I think it'll be a good showdown, dude.
It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout. It's going to be close.
What to expect from Christian Watson? They have no film on him, dude. He might.
That is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I think that's why we're better. We're more well-rounded. No one knows who's getting the ball. In the playoffs, the Niners knew Devontae was getting the ball. Now, obviously, okay, maybe Aaron could have thrown to Allen. Whatever, who cares? Point is, defenses knew that Devontae wanted the ball and Aaron was going to throw to him. Now nobody knows. Is it going to Allen? Is it going to Sammy, who's had a heck of a camp? Randall, who's old, reliable, always been there. Christian Watson, who's 6'4", 6'5", but runs a 4.3. I don't think the Packers have ever had a receiver like that like with those characteristics. Romeo Doubs, wasn't well known coming out of Nevada, but Aaron Rodgers, and him have been making a lot of plays in preseason, training camp, whatever. Amari Rodgers, heck of a camp. Samori Toure, big play guy at Nebraska. Like, no one knows who's getting the ball. Aaron Jones might lead our team in receiving. A.J. Dillon, who knows?
You never know.
There's so many. Both those guys had 1,100 scrimmage yards, by the way, last year, Jones and Dillon. And they might both have 1,000 rushing yards this year. Who knows? But Packers football's here. Packers football's here. This is why the NFL is better than the NBA. It's better than the MLB. It's better than every sport. I will say the World Cup is awesome. But point being, you have to wait so long. The offseason is so long outside of the draft and free agency. Like it's a long process, 6-7 months, it's a long process. You finally get here and you have these 17 weeks to fight for your season. And then you have a do or die 3-4 week stretch to get to the Super Bowl. And it's, there's nothing like it. I mean, it's chills, goosebumps, literal chills.
Football, man.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about, how I talk to you, I talk to Jack every week on the phone before the games, after the games. And I thought about yesterday, the game against San Francisco last season, how that experience, not the playoffs, God, no, not the playoffs. The week 3 game where everyone said we couldn't beat San Francisco. Everyone said we couldn't do this. Everyone was saying stuff about Aaron, how he didn't care, how he didn't want to be there. And they went there and Mason Crosby drilled that game-winning field goal. Aaron set them up. And it was just the greatest moment honestly, that game was one of the greatest moments I've ever felt being alive. That's what watching the Packers on Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, whatever, that's what it does to you. That's what football does to you. It's just a glorious experience. And we're back, baby. We're back.
Well, in spirit of in celebration of that, I'll actually be watching the game in Wisconsin.
Well, give me a call. Making me up. Yeah. So just let me know about that. But hey, score prediction. What do you think?
$31-27.
Okay. All right. Vikings?
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm torn on that because I feel like we're going to have some offensive production.
Mm-hmm.
I'm torn between that or like a 27-17. I feel like it's the Vikings. It's home. It's the first game. I don't know that they'll be able to score 27 on our defense.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing.
I think it's like maybe it's like 21-17, 20-13, something weird. I don't know. Like just Minnesota, they're starting to get there. They're off. It's the first year under O'Connell. Some guys are starting to learn the offense. They have an older defense, experienced but older. Don't really know what to expect from our team. It could very well be the that 43-37 game we saw 2 years ago, the first game during COVID when they came out and just lit up the scoreboard. It could be that too. But all I'm saying is just don't doubt Aaron Rodgers and don't doubt the Green Bay Packers. Just people are picking the Vikings. It's their time to win this division. It's still Aaron Rodgers. It's still the Green Bay Packers. Yeah.
This is the Bay.
This is the Bay.